everybody. It wouldn't be draft season if there was not something absolutely chaotic that happened. So we've had some hacking issues. And now we are completely resetting our stream. We are currently on my hotspot, my personal hotspot. That is the only way that this show is happening right now. Ride or die for TDN is the only way that we do these things.
A little bit of adversity.
A little bit of adversity.
This is what champions are made of. We step aside.
Yes, that's exactly
right. We make
it happen.
Here we are.
And guess what? Thanks to our friends over at Panini, we got these great backdrops. And we can sit here and we can react to a very, very good pick for the Miami Dolphins. A pick that I think my guy Kyle Krabs is going to be pretty excited about. So, Kyle, let's react to the Miami Dolphins.
Let's please do that. Let's talk about Jaylen Waddle, wide receiver, Alabama Crimson Tide to the Miami Dolphins. So listen, here's the thing. They have the challenge of finding the right perspective of building around Tua Tagovailoa.
Yep.
What he does well, how he saw the field.
Yep.
So from a wide receiver perspective, not only was Jaylen Waddle TDN's number one wide receiver. Number one wide receiver. He played in 5 games. He played in the national championship game, but he was clearly not at 100% in that game. The 4 games that he played in, he outproduced Devontae Smith.
Did you hear that?
Who won the Heisman Trophy.
Wait a second. Is that outproducing the Heisman winner? Is that good? I don't know.
To be fair to Devontae Smith, he had an interview with Shannon Sharp at the beginning of the week, and he said that himself. He said, if Jaylen Waddle didn't get hurt, I wouldn't have won the Heisman.
I think it's pretty safe to say that we know that Jaylen Waddle is an absolute stud. I think it's pretty safe to say that. And obviously, Devonta Smith had an unbelievable year.
He did.
But TDN was very much team Jaylen Waddle, ride or die. So as the Miami guy, I need to know, take the fan goggles off for a second.
Yep.
Let's talk about the scheme fit.
Yep.
Let's talk about why this works, X's and O's wise, and why this is going to help Tua Tagovailoa take the next step. Because I've been critical. And I want to see him take that next step. So how's he going to help?
Well, you think about what they had last year, and it was kind of a nickel and dime offense.
Yes.
They signed Will Fuller in free agency, ran 4.3, and Jaylen Waddle, when he's healthy, is running in the 4.2s.
Yep.
So now you have exponential amounts of speed that you can push vertically. And Alabama ran a couple of different kinds of offense throughout the course of Tua Tagovailoa's tenure there. The Steve Sarkisian style had some West Coast type concepts in it, more pro style offense. And the Mike Locksley offense in 2018 was very much a vertical push the ball down the field.
Yep.
Miami had issues with spacing because everybody crowded the line of scrimmage. Everybody crowded that 10, 15-yard box. Nobody respected any receiver on the Dolphins to be able to get vertical and win one-on-one shots. Well, now with Will Fuller and Jaylen Waddle, those 2 guys on the field, you put them on the field at the same time, and not only is it going to manufacture more space vertically to get over the top, but teams are going to play more 2 high shells. They're going to sink that second level more to take away those deep crossing routes. And then those receivers all of a sudden who could not get yards after the catch because they were super crowded inside of 10, 15 yards, they're going to have more room to operate. Not only that, but you're now going to have the ability to run the ball with more consistency because that safety isn't rolling down into the box and taking that extra gap where you're not out-gapped in the run game. That was the biggest issue for the Dolphins was they were -1 in the box because nobody respected their ability to stretch the field.
Yep, and I know that it is something that you have been talking about for a very long time.
Nonstop. I said Kyle Pitts is the best prospect to structurally change the way your offense works. But Jaylen Waddle is the best individual talent to benefit everyone that's already on the roster for the Miami Dolphins. That being the pick here, I know everybody wanted Kyle Pitts. I know Jamar Chase was perceived to be the number 1 consensus wide receiver in this class. But for Tua Tagovailoa and the way he saw the field and played last year, Jaylen Waddle's a better fit. And I stand by that. And you can go back and listen to what I said for 2 months. I felt that way 2 months ago, and I still feel it today.
So here's the thing you guys need to know about Kyle. And me, to be honest with you. We're both very petty. We both love pulling the receipts. Okay, these are things we like to do. We like to do these things a lot.
You're gonna make it.
So I'm gonna make you pull the receipts. Show me that this is your wide receiver 1. This is your guy, right? This is absolutely, without a doubt, TDN was all in. We were early on this. We were the ones who were going with this. So I need to see. Kyle's the petty king to my petty queen. This is how we operate. We love to pull the receipts. And I know that we're obviously going to go back and talk about some other pettiness because the 1, 2, 3 at the top feels pretty good.
Yes,
it
that
feels
Trey
pretty
Lance
good.
pick was
Trey
a
Lance,
bit of a mystery, bit of an intrigue,
it's feeling pretty good. I see that the internet is still having its trouble. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to, it's been a day. It's been a day. So we're going to take another left turn here, and I'm going to talk to Kyle about Trey Lance and the San Francisco 49ers.
Sure.
Why? Because nobody's been able to talk about that yet. And guess what? I think it's a pretty freaking big deal that Trey Lance is now the starting quarterback. Yeah, I said it.
Hold on.
Yeah, I said it.
Jimmy G's not gone.
He's on notice.
He's on notice, but San Francisco has said, we're not just going to give him away. We'd like to see him stay this year. And maybe they changed their mind now that Trey Lance is in the building.
Yep.
But Trey Lance is the quarterback that fits that mentality for the San Francisco 49ers. You have Jimmy Garoppolo. If you want to have him for a year and then you want to groom Trey Lance, that's totally fine. You can do that with Jimmy Garoppolo, or if you feel he's ready to go, or if you say we can get him ready to go, then you can trade Jimmy Garoppolo, pick up some extra assets, push play, and Trey Lance can be the guy. But he's the guy who fits the messaging that they spoke about all offseason, and that we're not in any rush to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo.
Is that the best case scenario for Trey Lance? Because I can remember having this conversation with Joe Marino, and we were talking about him going to Atlanta specifically and going, guess what? Matt Ryan's going to be the quarterback. We're going to be able to sit down, let him sit for a year or two. Is this a good scenario? Do you think he's going to sit behind Jimmy? Do you think he's going to take, some of those next steps? Because I know that was one of the things we were all hesitant about with him, obviously, was we were looking at this and we're going, you know what? There's a lot of tools there, but we haven't seen it. And he didn't play any football. He played one football game last year. But I'm a big fan. But I got to know, what is this scenario for him?
I think it would be ideal for him to take some time. I understand from a football intelligence perspective and what North Dakota State asked him to do. He did plenty. But at the same time, there's an experience factor here. And it's a shame that the college football season had to kind of find its way to make it work. And Trey Lance and North Dakota State only had one football game to play.
Yeah, which is a huge bummer.
So, and that football game was arguably the worst football game he played in the entirety of his career. And some of that could be there's scouts from 29 teams here to watch me play Central Arkansas. And I got to prove, because I've had all this hype all summer, that I'm a top prospect at the quarterback position. And I thought as throughout the course of that game this year, Trey Lance settled in the second half of that game. You could tell he was pressing in the first half. He showed his athleticism, but the spray chart as an accurate passer was all over the place in the first half of that game before he settled back down. So I think from an experience perspective, it would benefit him to sit and continue to learn, whereas from an intelligence perspective, he's going to be good to go. And with Kyle Shanahan as his coach, they'll probably feel comfortable at some point in 2021 making that transition. I'm just not sure I would push play on it for week 1.
Yeah, which I understand. I'm calling my shot. Trey Lance, starting quarterback, day 1. Jimmy G, sorry, pal. You got good looks, but the quarterbacking, it's been questionable these days. We have another pick that I'm really excited about. Detroit Lions, Penei Sewell, phenomenal pick. Phenomenal pick because this is a great player, but you want me to tell you why it's another good pick? Jared Goff, homie needs some protection, okay? Homie needs to be protected. Homie needs to be taken care of because, Detroit, it's been a tough place to play quarterback for a pretty long time, okay? So go ahead. Tell me, what are your thoughts?
Well, you think about what Dan Campbell talked about at the beginning, and you see what the Lions have been illustrating as far as their personnel decisions and hitting the reset button and trading Matt Stafford and loading up on future draft picks. And you kind of understand that this is not a team that 2021 is really pertinent to as far as their team's success. This is a rebuild. They're embracing the fact that it's a rebuild. And you hear what Dan Campbell says when he talks about, we want guys that are going to bite your kneecaps off and fall down 7 times and stand up 8 and all those really fun, football guy cliches. But for his style of play, trust me, as a Dolphins guy, he was the interim head coach of the Dolphins for 12 games.
Yep.
And he was as blue-collar as they come. They were as gritty as they come. That team was soft under Joe Philbin, and Dan Campbell made them tough overnight.
Yep.
They hung almost 80 points on the first 2 teams they played, the Tennessee Titans and the Houston Texans that year. When that change was made. And they were 1-3 to start the season that year.
That's a big deal.
So Penei Sewell, as an offensive lineman, best player available, He can be a cornerstone type player if you can continue to develop him. I think that's the important messaging here is we're just going to focus on taking good football players, and we're going to make the most of our assets.
We're excited that Penny Sewell was drafted. I'm not excited that I didn't get all my picks right. I'm pretty petty. I'm pretty petty.
Yep.
I'm mad about this one. There will be some intel that I'm quite sure I will get into at a later time. I'm like, you know what? This has been tough. It's been tough to be wrong about one pick though. I had everything else right. I've been told that my guy Joe Marino is going to come on the screen, right? And the reason that's going to happen is because I got some stuff I got to deal with. I got some prospect. Oh, look at this.
Oh boy.
Is this an OG crew? Is this an OG crew?
What's this?
Guys being dudes.
There it is.
We absolutely love to see the squad back together. Listen, this is probably the worst case scenario for all three of us to get together, right? There's a lot of great reasons for all of us to get together. This was not one we planned for tonight. But you know what? We make it work. We make it work, and we make it work because we're professionals, and these guys are the best at what they do. They're the best at what they do.
And we got a pick.
We
have a pick. The Carolina Panthers.
Ooh, let's go.
Have selected cornerback J.C. Horn from South Carolina, just down the street in Columbia. He makes a trip up 77 north to Charlotte, and he's going to provide an answer for Carolina. Kyle, J.C. Horn, a Panther.
Yeah, so, it was kind of my heart sinking because I didn't have that in the mock. I had Rayshon Slater.
Oh, boy.
But then at the same time,
so did I.
I did, courtesy of our friends at Bet Online, I threw some money on J.C. Horn being the first defensive player.
I did too. Let's go.
Plus 300. So it's a good pick. I'm okay. I can live with it.
Yeah.
The squad is happy because they made money.
I always like that.
Yeah, we also like to support our partners. Bet Online,
Absolutely.
Great partner of both Locked On and the Draft Network. So, gentlemen, I have some things I need to attend to.
Okay.
So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something that honestly makes me a little nervous. I'm going to leave the two of you to take over the stream, which is a little scary for me.
Yeah.
It's a little scary for me, but you guys are going to handle it, all right? So I'll be back in a little bit.
You were born for this.
Yeah, you were born for this.
Let's
That
talk.
dude's fly.
So God, J.C. Horn, Carolina Panthers, they had two pressing needs. And I feel like I've been saying this for 5 years now.
Yeah.
Two pressing needs, offensive tackle, cornerback. It's interesting, Joe Brady, 5-man protection. They go with the cornerback, which they probably had even less answers on the roster right now. A.J. Bouye comes over from Denver. Dante Jackson's an expiring contract. But other than that, you're talking about Troy Pride Jr., Rashawn Melvin. This gives them a guy that can be a CB1 for them.
Yeah, so we have somebody on site here who's fairly familiar with Carolina Panthers football.
I'm also
Josh
on fire.
Norris. You're levitating right now.
I'm
think
great.
you didn't touch the ground on the entire way in here. So
I'm super pale too.
No, that's all right. Well, it's part of it's the lighting, it's real bright. It's close. So 8 for 8 on your mock draft.
Yes.
And I told you, coming in, Josh, we look good. I think we got like 19 common picks. Well, I'm not 8 for 8.
All right.
So good for you. I'm happy for you. But let's talk a little bit about J.C. Horn to the Carolina Panthers here and being the first defensive prospect off the grid.
It makes so much sense when you consider what Matt Rule wants. And I think that this just enhances that it's Matt Rule's decisions that are being made. It's an alpha personality with incredible physical talents who every single week in the SEC wanted the other team's best wide receiver 1 or pass catcher number 1, right? We've seen it with Kyle Pitts, Elijah Moore, 2019 Devontae Smith, and he worked across that formation with Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs. So it's a piece to me where you combine J.C. Horn with Jeremy Chin, with Derek Brown, with Hassan Reddick and Brian Burns, that you now have these pieces that can make plays in moments. It's not really a great defense overall, but when you need them to make that game-changing, game-winning play on defense, I think they can do it now.
You said he wants the other team's number 1 wide receiver. Well, welcome to the NFC because here comes Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones and Michael Thomas and everything that Tampa Bay can throw at you with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and Antonio Brown.
And then in practice, DJ Moore every single day.
Oh,
and Robbie Anderson.
I felt so bad for James Bradbury, right? Because he always got those assignments. So welcome, J.C. Horn. This is now your problem.
Well, I think it's really interesting, Josh, you talking about being an opportunistic defense with splash playmakers, right? And go back to last year's draft class. They didn't spend a single pick on the offensive side of the football.
Correct.
They went defense the entire way.
Correct.
And now here you are with the top 8 pick, and you go with defense again.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good point.
They are really just kind of putting their imprint on this is who we want to be as a football team.
Yes, and I also think they have a full trust in Joe Brady. I also think that they believe, because they've shown in Robbie Anderson last year, he was misused in a lot of ways. And even with Teddy Bridgewater, this offense was able to produce 4,000-yard scrimmage players.
Yeah.
And that's not talk. I mean, that's a rare thing to do across the NFL. And it was with a quarterback that is average at best. So I truly believe if they can help the offensive line and build that, they likely think that they can work with these young playmakers. It's a young roster.
Yeah.
That's something we have to think about. And they're not going to be great, especially you mentioned the NFC South.
Yeah.
That's a major part of it. But it's an exciting group. And J.C. Horn matching up against the Falcons, I bet there are snap sheet lines against Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, and Kyle Pitts now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I forgot about Kyle Pitts. Well, easy to do. He just got to the party, but there's some loaded playmakers there. And do you think maybe that forces the hand a little bit, Kyle? We talk all the time about how you have to build a roster to beat your division. And you have got to find somebody in the back end that can help you. And I certainly think this is a move, not only like you mentioned from Matt Rule, who says, you go back to his recruiting efforts at Baylor, and the messaging was, I just want trades and I can teach you how to do the rest, right? So now you get, like you said, that elite competitor with all the athleticism you could want in a division where you just have to have this type of player.
Well, I think this is the last two picks in particular is programs that are just now starting to find who they want to be and finding players that check all the boxes for them. And J.C. Horn, it seemed like all of the teams that were potentially rumored to be interested in trading up, like the Philadelphia Eagles, the New Orleans Saints, everybody's like, oh, they might be interested in moving up, and J.C. Horn might be the dude they're interested in.
And we'll see how the rest of the draft plays out. And by the way, this is the record for the latest first defensive player off the board, because it was number 7, I believe. 1999 Champ Bailey, if my draft history research
it worked out pretty
paid off over the last few months. I still think the Panthers have some work to do.
For sure.
Especially along that offensive line. If they don't go in that direction in round 2, I would be shocked. But I think we all believe that there's like a glut of talent along the offensive line, especially at that left tackle spot. But it also makes you think maybe the coaching staff likes Cameron Irving a little bit more than the rest of us.
Yeah, they did that with Greg Little too.
Well,
so,
but you know what? To be fair, you talked about Joe Brady and his impact on the team, and when you go as empty and 5-man protections as often as they do, by design, you're automatically going to have opportunities and outlets to get the football out of your hands and not sit there and hold the football in the pocket when you're under duress. So I think that's an important layer here for as long as they have Joe Brady, and if they have success again this year, we might be having a very different conversation next year about the Carolina Panthers offense.
Who is here is Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold, going back to USC, he turns over the football. And so if I'm Carolina, I'm getting very, very serious about fixing this left tackle thing. I know you heard this probably before, but the Carolina Panthers, since Jordan Gross retired in 2011, have had a different primary starting left tackle. Come on, guys. It's time to get that right.
I got to interrupt you guys. No, you can come back in. You can come back in. We're going to squeeze together. So everybody that has stayed with us through this absolutely chaotic version of our broadcast, we're back up. And actually, a really nice version of the broadcast is being simulcast at the same time that this is up, right?
Lovely.
So the 112 people that are joining us right now, please go join us on the other stream. It's a lot nicer looking, but we appreciate you. There were a lot of you that jumped on. There was like 270 people on with me and Kyle talking about shenanigans. So we love you guys, and thank you. Thank you.